Right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our March. Three great speakers from all around the world. We have speakers from Washington, D.C., Brazil, and Jordan. Today's topic is virtual chapter meetings. So we're going to talk briefly about that. Each speaker will talk 3 to 5 minutes on that topic, and then we will move forward. At the end, we'll have questions. So if you have questions, please put them in the question box, and we will address them at the end. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Bob. So welcome, everyone. I'll keep it brief since we have 3 speakers today, and I think this is probably the hottest topic we'll have this year. Just briefly want to update you on a few things from AEE. We have 2 new staff members that joined within the last 2 weeks. Lori Beth Nix is a marketing communication specialist, and so she's working with our marketing department, doing social media and things like that. So you'll see her and hopefully get to meet her later this year at AEE World. And then Mel Claus is our member engagement specialist. She's going to be working closely with all of our chapters, especially student chapters, but also our professional chapters, and trying to really help us grow our member benefits and our communications with our members. So she's on the call today just to listen in, and so hopefully you'll get to meet her soon as well. A couple important upcoming dates. April 15th, so we have monthly chapter webinars, so that's our next one, the 3rd Thursday of every month, and that one will be on the Chapter Recognition Awards program. And then May 20th, the chapter webinar will be on AEE membership, and we'll have our new membership director, Carly Tucker, present. And then June 3rd, the Chapter Recognition Awards are due. So be thinking about that. We want to see nominations from all of our chapters. Even with the pandemic we had last year, I think there's some good things that can come out, even from virtual meetings and things like that. And then for student chapters, I know we have some student chapter members on our call today. Operation reports are due May 3rd, and then student chapter recognition awards will be due at the end of May. And then lastly, our events. We are having our virtual event coming up next month. It's a 2-day event, completely online. The website is aeevirtual.com. And then we have a 1-day climate action summit that will be June 23rd. And then as of right now, we are scheduled to be live for both AEE Europe in Ireland in September and AEE World in October in New Orleans. So just stay tuned for updates on those. We anticipate AEE World will have a virtual component to it, since not everyone will be able to travel this year. So with that, I'm going to start introducing our speakers. First off, we have Eric Yang. He's with the AEE National Capital Chapter. So I'm going to turn it over to him and let him give you guys some good feedback.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone here. I'm honored to be here to actually present a summary of our National Capital Chapter in Washington, D.C. First, I want to give credits to our program chair, Emily McDuff, who actually spent a lot of efforts last year. And also we want to thank Tim Winting, and then also he's our chapter president, and also John Lord, our past president, with their strong support. We also have about 27 board members who are really the driving forces behind all these events. So without them, it is really impossible to make this happen. I think some board members is here in this meeting. Since March 2020, we have put on 7 virtual events and 1 in-person community service events. The community service events is to clean up the popular boating place near the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. So in the last year, most of our events have ranged on average between 50 to 60 people. The events in the summer has a little bit lower attendee range, maybe around 20 to 25 people. Last week, we just had an event collaboration with CWIL. We had about total 139 registration. Roughly 30 are students. We also had a high point about 96 attendees during the meeting. So maybe roughly this week, we're gonna make the video and then share the video recording with all the registries. The virtual tours at the Ringwick Gallery in Washington, D.C. last month, we had about 70 attendees. Among 10 are students. So all these are really encouraging, even though we are not be able to meet in person, but we do have regularly monthly events going on. I will probably give some highlights. One is to basically speak across the country and globe. For example, we have a share the mic events where we were able to include Win Turner, who was physically in Colorado. And also it's easier to participate with the virtual setting with the reduced fees. Before COVID events, we charged about $30 to $40 per ticket. And after COVID events, it's only $10 per event per ticket. And for students, they only need to pay $2. And also we are able to record events to share with AE chapter members in the future. And there's no need to coordinate with the food catering and then the location access. So it's easier for us to focus on just the content itself. Among all that, as I mentioned before, our chapter board members are really the driving forces. We continue virtual meetings quarterly to plan ahead the chapter events. Okay, so we have some lessons learned among this last year's virtual setting events. One is in early times, we used a team software. Later on, we switched to the Zoom, and we found out the Zoom is actually easier platform. It comes with more interactive features such as polling. We also shortened the event duration from 3 hours in person to 1 and 1.5 hours. This is the ideal maximum time in a virtual setting to keep people's attention. We also have more flexible ticket price, as I mentioned before, $10 standard rate, $2 reduced price for students, and for people who can't really afford the standard rate. And also for each registrant participant, and then they can get a 3 guest tickets for free. For each virtual event session, I would say that it's best for you to encourage speakers to have the camera on, and for participants to turn on their camera when they ask the questions, and then for networking and engagement. It is also best to have one person driving the Zoom sessions who will probably be a separate from the speakers. And also it's good to have one separate person to monitor the chat and also to moderate the Q&A. Under the Zoom, also we have some lesson learned as well. When you set up the Zoom invite, make sure you uncheck the waiting room so people can join with the link immediately. You want to mute everyone upon entry, and also you want automatically record the meeting on the cloud. And under the settings, you can also use the breakout room features. That actually will be very helpful for us to bring more engagement from the audience. You also can turn on the meeting pose and allow others, such as guest speakers, to share their screen. Now turn back to Michelle. That's my kind of highlights and the lesson learned from the national chapters in DC. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I do just want to point out, I should have said this at the beginning, for any chapters who don't already have access to a Zoom account, AEE actually, we purchased 10 accounts specifically for our chapters to use. So if you don't have that information and you want to do virtual meetings or do them without paying for a Zoom account, please contact me and I'll get you those details. All right, next we're going to have Angelo. He's from our AEE Brazil chapter. I'll let him take it from here.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. First of all, it's a real honor to be here, since I am the fresh fish in the association. The Brazil chapter is too young. We have less than 5 years of creation, and then we are just we're just learning how to deal with this new world of AE. But I have some considerations that I consider, some points that I consider very important here to say. First of all, is that pandemic changed whole plans that we made, the whole plans. Why? Because in Brazil, people like to do things personally. People were not used to doing things by as webinars and the like. And this was the first challenge to us, to catch people in front of the notebook to attend our webinars, attend meetings. It was our first huge challenge. I think we are overcoming this cultural aspect, and now we are getting more audience. We are getting more. We can catch more audience to our webinars. One example of that occurred last Monday when we used the Zoom account of AE to promote a webinar. Unfortunately, this webinar is in Portuguese, but we are translating it to deliver for AE members with the specialist of Terreo, that is a very big company in sugar cane sector worldwide known. And the subject was very important. This was it was artificial intelligence learning machine applied on the agricultural sector. It's very interesting. And then we now can deal better with this kind of tools. The second point that I would like to say here is that who is the AE member in Brazil? The AE member in Brazil is a member that only knows AE because of CMVP, and this is very important to understand that. I'm doing a job to present AE, the whole AE to the members in Brazil, because they only know CMVP, and this is very important because AE is much bigger than CMVP. This is the second challenge, and this is about culture, because in Brazil we do not have the culture of energy efficiency, energy management, and the first light that lit in this sector is some part of energy efficient small sector that exists here, that use CMVP to validate some projects. And then we have a very huge, a very big field to exploit in terms of that. And that's why we are working hard in order to change this game, in order to change this culture, showing what AE can do for the members, or and also for the whole Brazil. I think I have too many things to say, but I think I do not have more time.
That's okay. I'm sure we'll get some questions, and maybe your talking points will answer some of those questions. Thank you. I know it's interesting to hear a perspective from, you know, our DC chapter here in the US and then Brazil. I know, you know, like you said, cultures are very different. The energy markets are very different. So, and I like having the different perspectives. And speaking of different perspectives, now we're going to have Dima, who's from our German Jordanian University student chapter, give us some talking points from a student perspective and from a student chapter perspective.
Oh, hello everybody. I'm Dima Khirfan, the president of the AEE, German Jordan University student chapter. And I'm really honored to be today to be a speaker in this webinar. And I would like to thank the AEE for giving me this opportunity. So first of all, I would like to talk about what we have, me and our team started. In March 2020, we had a lot of plans and events planned, and most of them were in the university, but the pandemic was sudden and was not expected. So we were forced to stay in our houses for a very long time, and we were not able to communicate with the other members like we used to do. So me and my team, we started to search for alternatives and think of new ideas so we can conduct our mission and do some activities online. So I would like to thank Engineer Samir Zawaidi for giving us the inspiration to start holding webinars by giving us the opportunity to communicate with the specialists in our field. So we started holding some webinars and workshops, and we were able to do several webinars. We made one about renewable energy storage, and it was a very successful webinar. The speaker was a graduate from our university who has a great experience in this field. Also, we made some workshops related to our major and renewable energy and energy efficiency. Also, lately, we have made a webinar talking about work or study in Germany, and this topic is really important to and especially to our university, since part of our study program in the university, we have to spend 1 year in Germany, semester working and semester studying. So it was a very helpful webinar for us. Another thing we are doing now, we are having partnerships with specialist people to give us regular webinars. So now we are having a collaboration with AMC Training and Consulting. By this partnership, we are holding regular workshops and webinars for the students and anyone who's interested in this topic. And our latest partnership was with a platform called Servo. It's a local platform in Jordan. This platform is for science and technology. And I would like to say that our webinars are open to anybody interested in the topic, and we share them on the social media and on LinkedIn. Now I would like to talk about LinkedIn. In the pandemic, we have opened our own page on LinkedIn, and we share our activities and our latest events. So if you want to see our events, you can check our LinkedIn page. I would like to conclude that even during the pandemic, we were holding webinars. We also made some trips, but they were limited with like some 6 members, 7 members due to the defense laws in Jordan. And we made 2 trips, one for a factory in Jordan called Philadelphia Solar Factory, which is the top one in the MENA region. And by this visit, we were able to secure ourselves with an internship, which we finished a few weeks ago. Also, we visited a power plant in Jordan for PV systems. So through this year, we were able to do online webinars and a few field trips. And that was all. I would like to thank you, and I'm open to any questions at the end of this webinar. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Dima and Angelo and Eric. I think I've heard some of the same things, like virtual meetings, you know, you're able to really reach a bigger audience, maybe outside of even your local chapter members, but definitely reaching your chapter members who maybe can't attend in-person meetings. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with questions, and if Bob, if you want to chime in on anything, just feel free. So first, are we able to share Zoom access with student chapters? Yes. I will make sure that information is sent out to your regional vice presidents or the assistant directors, so they can make sure you get that information. I know last year we had over 300 chapter meetings through the Zoom account. So I know they're being used, but I would love to see that number increase drastically this year. So definitely you can share it with your chapters. You can use it for your chapter board meetings, anything that has to do with your chapter or with AEE membership. We have, what advantages of virtual meetings may continue after the pandemic? Do any of our speakers want to try to answer that one?
I would like to answer.
Okay.
From our experience, we in our webinars, people from different countries are attending our webinars, which was not possible before the pandemic. Now we are having people from Germany, from Saudi Arabia, from other countries who can't attend this webinars in person. So that, I think it's the advantage, so we can keep it after the pandemic to allow other people from other countries to attend the webinars.
Could I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Specifically from Brazil, we have the problem of the language. We have in our audience people from Bolivia and Chile. However, it's important. It's more difficult to have audience from United States or something, or some country that speaks English, for instance. But I consider that we can overcome it by translating the meetings, and then everybody could attend.
Yeah, from my perspective, I see this going to be probably a mixed. It depends on where the speaker will be. If this good speaker is remote, then we can probably host remotely, or we could have in-person meeting that as we have done before. And I think a lot of chapter members, they really hope to get together. So we're probably going to see a mixed in the future.
Yeah, that is something I have heard, that, going forward, even if people get back to live meetings, there will be a computer and a Zoom component hooked up so that people can also attend virtually. It's kind of the way things are going these days. So, all right, next we have any suggested best practices related to timing of virtual meetings. So we have a very global audience here. Do you find that, virtual meetings work any time of the day, whereas your live meetings may have been, lunch meetings or evening meetings after work? So what's the difference in timing for your virtual meetings?
I have some considerations about that. First, I think evening meetings are better in my opinion, and the duration is very important. I think 30-40 minutes is it's enough, or at most 1 hour meeting. More than this, it's not good.
From my perspective, I think also the 12 to 1 o'clock on our local time is a better time for a lot of folks who can join during the lunch break, and also just as Angela said, that we could probably use maybe 40-45 minutes as a talking point, and then we have a Q&A in the end.
I would like to add, in Jordan, we have a curfew every Friday and every day after 7 p.m. So we try to choose our webinars at this time. So everyone is at home and can attend our webinars. And most of our webinars are from 1 hour to 2 hour maximum. So they can benefit, and at the end, they can ask questions.
Very different in different parts of the world. I know a lot of people here in the US are here we're doing lunch meetings because it's easy for people to break away from their job and have lunch, especially if it's, something related to their job. And being an AE chapter member typically is, and I think now, you can schedule a virtual meeting at 6 p.m. and still have great attendance. So we have another question. I think this kind of varies by chapter, but if each of you could give kind of your average number. So what's the average number of attendees you had for your virtual webinars versus maybe what you had a year ago at your live meetings? Is it different, or is it about the same?
Okay. Our chapter is, as I said, is too young. We made some presential seminars. We had about from 200 to 400 people presentially, and virtually about 200 at most.
Okay, for us, I think, as I mentioned before, we have a 50 to 60 people on average. But during the summertime, we have a little bit lower attendee range. I think before the pandemic, I think we have about 40 to 50, depends on the interest of topics as well. So sometimes if we have a bigger events, just like, the museum virtual tour, or the collaboration with the SeaWorld, and then those events attendees could be even more. I mean, the one we had the last week, we had almost 140 people. So that's my input.
So for our chapter, as you know, we are a student chapter. So before the pandemic, most of the workshops were only for the university students, but and the number was like from 30 to 40. But now with the virtual webinars, we are having different people, not only students, and now the number of the attendees is like from 70 to 80.
That's great. I'm seeing a lot of other chapters in the chat say that their virtual meetings have definitely had more attendance. Some coupled with IT difficulties, but I think that's understandable. All right, and so we'll close out with this question. If each of you want to kind of comment on this, do you have any ideas of how to turn a boring meeting into an interesting one?
Could I say? I think the difference is I think is the speaker. The speaker is the most important. The subject could be good, but if the speaker is not good, there's no miracle.
Okay, on my end is that I think sometimes, like, the person who are driving the Zoom meeting can make it a little bit more diversified topics, and to engage more audience participants, and make polls, or make some kind of a input. Hey, give us some thoughts, and then from the participant level. So while speakers probably were doing some other things, in that way we could get some level participants. Yeah.
It depends on the moderator and how he's able to make the webinar more interesting. And I think by engaging the attendee in the webinar, it will be more fun and they will not get bored.
Okay. Well, this has certainly not been a boring meeting. We're not going to even think about that. I want to personally thank Eric, Angela, and Dima for your great presentations and your good answers to questions. I think that we've learned a lot. I've learned, and I think Michelle too, that culturally around the world, we kind of got different approaches to having virtual meetings. But we've also learned that virtual meetings, at least with the group that participated today, seem to have much greater participation, and that's great. Whether the meeting's at night or in the morning or at lunch or whatever works for your area. And whatever works is what obviously makes sense and what you should be doing. I want to thank our audience for participating in today's webinar. Our next webinar is April the 15th. And as Michelle mentioned, we'll be talking about chapter recognition awards. We need to get our pencils sharpened and get chapter recognition awards submitted. They're always well received and lots of opportunity for recognizing outstanding performance and special contributions from our AEE members. Until then, be safe. Thanks for your time. That concludes our webinar for today.
Bye-bye.